I'll never forget the morning my peaceful sleep was shattered by the relentless pounding of jackhammers at 7 a.m. At first, I figured it was just road work somewhere in the neighborhood annoying, but nothing to lose sleep over. But the noise didn't fade. It grew louder, closer, like it was coming from right outside my house. Half asleep, I stumbled out of bed, yanked the curtains open, and what I saw made my stomach drop. There, on my pristine front lawn, were 3 construction workers in hard hats tearing up the grass with heavy machinery. And standing nearby, clipboard in hand, was a woman in a pristine peach blazer, directing them like she was conducting a symphony. I recognized her instantly. Lisa Thompson, the self-proclaimed queen of our neighborhood's HOA. I threw on a hoodie and stormed outside, my heart racing, my voice barely keeping up with my anger. "What the hell is going on here?" I shouted over the roar of the equipment. Lisa turned to me, her lips curling into that smug smile I'd already learned to hate in the month since I'd moved in. She adjusted her oversized sunglasses and clutched her clipboard tighter. "Good morning, neighbor," she said, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "We're finally fixing the shared driveway issue. The board and I decided it's time to clean up this eyesore." She waved her hand toward my perfectly mowed lawn like it was a junkyard. I stood there, stunned, watching chunks of my property being ripped apart. Shared driveway? There was no shared driveway. "This is my lawn, my property." I snapped. Lisa just waved me off. "It's all in the community planning documents. I'm bringing things up to code." I'd only been to Maple Grove community for a month, but I knew my property lines like the back of my hand. When I bought this corner lot in the quiet cul-de-sac, the realtor had gushed about the spacious private front yard perfect for barbecues, kids playing, or just soaking up the sun. The property documents were crystal clear. My land extended right to the decorative stone border by the sidewalk. No shared anything. But from the moment I moved in, Lisa had been eyeing my lawn like it was the last slice of pizza at a party. On my first day, she showed up with a welcome basket that was really just an HOA rulebook with sections highlighted in neon yellow and a handwritten list of common infractions to avoid. While she droned on about lawn standards, her eyes kept flicking to my yard. I thought she was just obsessive about grass height. Now, I realized she'd been plotting something much bigger. The first few weeks were mostly quiet, except for Lisa's passive-aggressive notes about my trash cans lingering too long after pickup or my garden hose not being properly coiled. Then she started dropping hints about how my lot was perfect for a communal driveway to improve traffic flow. One evening, while on one of her casual strolls that always seemed to pass my house, she said, "Your yard could really connect the neighborhood, you know?" I brushed it off, thinking it was just small talk. But then I caught her parking her sleek white SUV on the edge of my grass. When I politely asked her to stop, she gave me a fake apology and said she was visualizing community improvements. The next day, I came home to find orange cones lined up across my lawn, a sign taped to one reading, "Reserved for neighborhood access planning." I yanked them up and tossed them on the curb. By morning, they were back, along with a note, "Please do not interfere with HOA initiatives. The board has plans." That's when I knew I had to act. I showed up early to the next HOA meeting at the community center, where neighbors greeted me warmly, happy to see a new face. When I asked about driveway projects, the treasurer, an older guy named Harold, looked puzzled. "No construction plan for our street," he said. "Budget's all tied up in the pool renovation." Before I could dig deeper, Lisa swept in, took over the meeting, and steamrolled through the agenda so fast no one could get a word in. When I tried to ask about the cones afterward, she brushed me off with vague promises about future planning and bolted to chat with other board members. The cones vanished for a few days, but Lisa's antics didn't. She started directing her guests to park on my lawn, Leah VYing tire tracks in my grass. I installed a security camera and sent her a firm email. My property was private, and she had no permission to use it. Her reply was a novel-length rant about community-minded thinking and how my selfishness was hurting the neighborhood. It ended with a chilling line. "The HOA has ways of addressing residents who don't prioritize community needs." And now, here I was, standing in my bathrobe, watching strangers destroy my lawn under Lisa's command. "Show me the paperwork." I demanded, stepping between a worker and my ruined grass. I want permits, HOA plans, easement documents now. Lisa's smile flickered, but she recovered quickly. I don't have all that on me, but it's properly filed, she said, pulling a crumpled paper from her clipboard. This outlines the easement rights in Section 12 of the bylaws. I grabbed it and scanned it. It was just a vague clause about utility easements, nothing about driveways or shared access. This authorizes nothing, I said, my voice steady but boiling inside. Lisa's eyes narrowed. You clearly don't understand how things work here. The board has interpreted this to include neighborhood access. She turned to the crew. Keep going. He's just being difficult. The workers hesitated, glancing between us, but when Lisa pointed to where they should dig, they reluctantly continued. I pulled out my phone. Fine. If you won't stop, I'll call the HOA board. Lisa laughed, a sharp, grating sound. I'm the board, dear. I'm the president, but I done my homework. You're the president, but you need board approval for major projects. Let's see what Mark and Susan think. I dialed Mark, the VYC president, whose number I'd gotten at the meeting. When he answered, I explained the situation, and his response was music to my ears. What? No shared driveway project was approved. We haven't even discussed it. I put him on speaker so Lisa could hear. Lisa, is that you? What are you doing? There's no authorization for construction on private property. Lisa's face turned crimson. Mark, we talked about access at the last executive session, she stammered. No, we didn't. Mark shot back. Stop this now. I'm calling an emergency meeting. I hung up and turned to the crew. Gentlemen, stop work. There's no approved project here. The foreman looked pissed. Lady, you told us this was permitted and HOA approved, he barked at Lisa. She backed away, clutching her clipboard like a lifeline. There's been a miscommunication. I thought this was settled. The foreman shook his head. We're not touching a property dispute. Show us proper documentation, or we're done. As Lisa tried to sweet-talk the workers, I ran inside, grabbed my property records, and called the non-emergency police line to report trespassing and property damage. When I returned, 2 workers were loading their gear, and the foreman was tearing into Lisa. You said this was legit. We could lose our license over this. Lisa saw me with my paperwork and hissed, this isn't over. The community needs this access, and it will happen. I held up my property survey. This land is mine. You have no legal right to build here. I turned to the foreman. I've called the police. Stick around to explain how you were misled. By the time the police arrived, neighbors were peeking out windows and gathering on sidewalks, drawn by the chaos. 2 officers approached, and I laid out the situation, showing them my property documents. Lisa launched into a rambling speech about HOA authority and community planning. The officer cut her off. Ma'am, do you have legal documents authorizing construction on this property? Lisa faltered. As HOA president, I have discretionary powers to implement improvements. That's not what I asked, the officer said. Do you have written authorization from the property owner or a legal easement? Lisa's composure cracked. I don't need his permission. This is for the neighborhood's benefit. He's being selfish. The officer turned to me. Sir, do you want to press charges for the damage? I nodded. Yes, and I want it documented that I never gave permission. What happened next was like something out of a movie. Lisa lost it. You can't do this, she screamed, her voice echoing down the street. I'm the HOA president. I decide what happens here. She stomped her foot, her perfectly styled hair bouncing with every word. When the officer calmly explained that HOA rules don't override property law, she lunged for my property documents in his hand. Big mistake. Ma'am, calm down, the officer warned. But Lisa was too far gone, pointing at me and shrieking. He's ruining our community plans. I have every right to improve this neighborhood. The second officer was taking statement from the workers, who showed him the work order Lisa had given them, a document she'd forged with a fake HOA board signature. Ma'am, turn around and place your hands behind your back, the officer said. Lisa's face went from furious red to ghostly white. You can't be serious. I'm a respected community leader. But the officer cuffed her, reading her rights as she sputtered in disbelief. The look on her face as she was led to the police car pure. unfiltered shock was something I'll never forget. Lisa was charged with criminal trespassing, property damage, and fraudulent misrepresentation. In court, the judge had zero patience for her community interest excuses. She was ordered to pay Dula $12,500 to fix my lawn, plus legal fees, and sentenced to 2 years of probation and 200 hours of community service, ironically, working for the city's public works department. When the verdict came down, Lisa's polished facade crumbled. "This is outrageous," she shrieked in the courtroom. "I was just trying to improve property values." The judge banged his gavel, unmoved, and moved on, Lisa standing there, mouth agape, finally silent. Looking back, it's wild to think how far Lisa was willing to go, abusing her HOA power to bulldoze my rights literally. My lawn's been restored, and the neighborhood's quieter now, but the story still sparks heated debates at block parties. What do you think? Did Lisa genuinely believe she was helping the community, or was this just a power trip? Should I have tried harder to reason with her before calling the cops? Or was she too far gone? And let's get real. Have you ever dealt with an HOA tyrant like this? Drop your thoughts below. Hit that like button if you're team private property, and subscribe for more crazy neighbor stories. Let's keep this conversation going.